Welcome to Back in the Day, the show that takes you back before cell phones and reading tones, even before roof flaps and safer barriers. This is when the king ruled.
When the Petty Blue flies under the checkered flag, winner of the 15th annual Daytona 500.
And the Silver Fox ran wild.
David Pearson wins the Motor State 400.
We took this classic show called Car and Track with host Bud Lindemann.
This will be a hot 30 minutes. We'll be ready to go in 60 seconds.
Once again, I'm giving these old races a new twist. We're going to watch these heroes of the golden era.
David Pearson, Richard Petty, Buddy Baker, Bobby Allison, Cale Yarborough, Benny Parsons,
and gain some knowledge of the times.
And suddenly, the Alabama air rings with the sound of power. They're wound up now and flying. Look out!
Get ready, because we're going back in the day. We made 2 stops every year at Rockingham at a track called North Carolina Motor Speedway, but it's simply better known as The Rock. It's kind of funny because all I remember is the sand. It was everywhere. Rockingham was a shorter track, just a little over a mile, but long in character. Let's check out the action from the 1975 Carolina 500 and bundle up for this one. It was a season opener.
Hey, glad you stopped by again. Today, Car and Track comes to you from the tall pine country of North Carolina. A sleepy little town called Rockingham comes alive twice a year when North Carolina Motor Speedway opens the gates to the Grand National Division of NASCAR. We're here now for the Carolina 500, the season opener. And even cold weather and gusty winds don't keep the fans away. They're here in force. And so are the cars and drivers. At just a shade over a mile long, North Carolina Motor Speedway is the smallest super speedway on the NASCAR circuit. But nonetheless, it's a favorite of ours, as well as the spectators. They can see the entire track from any seat in the house. Drivers must like it too, because they always have an excellent field of cars. They're here today for the 10th running of the Carolina 500. The pole sitter and fastest qualifier for today's race is Buddy Baker from Charlotte, North Carolina, driving the Ford number 15. He ran the oval in a little over 26 seconds at a speed of 137.611 miles per hour. The south was sunny, but far from warm. With the temperatures in the low 30s, the fans were bundled like Eskimos. They held a 3-minute warm-up session so drivers could get their oil hot enough to run. Finally, the signal was given for all cars to move out of pit row onto the track, and a grandstand full of freezing but race-hungry spectators gave him a tremendous ovation. Starting alongside Buddy Baker in the familiar Dodge number 43 is Richard Petty. In the second row, it's 2 Chevys, Darrell Waltrip in number 17 and Lenny Pond in car 54. Third row, 5th starting position, is number 72 Benny Parsons, the Daytona 500 winner. And on his side is Dave Marcus in the Dodge 71. In the fourth row, it's Cale Yarborough in the Valvoline Chevy 11 and David Pearson in the Purolator Mercury number 21. Out of the fourth turn, the pace car slides onto pit road. The green is out, and here they come. In turn 1, Buddy Baker wins the drag and takes the lead. Petty is second, but watch Darrell Waltrip in number 17. He's hot. At the end of the first lap, it's Baker in front, Petty second, Waltrip third, Benny Parsons fourth, and Lenny Pond fifth. If these engines are cold, these guys don't know about it. They're hauling. Buddy Baker in number 15 is trying to run away, but Richard Petty stays right with him. In the third turn, Darrell Waltrip streaks past Petty on the high side to take over the second place spot, and now begins to close on Buddy Baker. Entering the second pocket, Waltrip puts his number 17 Chevy right into Baker's trunk. He wants that lead badly. The first caution flag of the day flies when the third turn comes alive with a double spinner. The number 10 Ford driven by Ricky Rudd and Travis Tiller in the Dodge Charger number 46.
How about that, Ricky Rudd, back in 1975. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the 1975 Carolina 500.
The lineup is now Waltrip in front, Petty second, Baker third, Pearson fourth, and Cale Yarborough has moved into fifth. There's the green, and they're gone. This is where Darrell Waltrip has wanted to be since lap 1, and I'm sure he'd like to stay out in front for the rest of the race. But I'll bet Richard Petty has some other ideas. David Pearson is running third. Now Cale Yarborough has moved into fourth. On the back chute, Pearson unleashes the Mercury, passes Petty, and stakes claim to the second spot. Cale Yarborough drops his Chevy into the low groove alongside Richard, and by the time they hit the first turn, Cale is third, hopping Petty back to fourth. Here comes David. He puts the Mercury underneath Waltrip's car and drives through to take the lead away. Darrell challenges Pearson back, but can't stick with him. Cale is in Pearson's draft and follows him around Waltrip to take over second. In about a half a lap, Darrell goes from first to third. Things happen very fast on this track, but to Waltrip, that's too quick. '72 Benny Parsons is one of the first cars to pit for fuel and rubber. Down the front chute, number 11, Cale Yarborough wants to try that front spot just for size. He puts a zinger on Pearson and takes it away.
We'll keep on rocking right here on Back in the Day. Right now, Cale Yarborough has the lead in the 1975 Carolina 500. Before we get back to the racing action, let's check out what else was going on back in the day. The Rhinestone Cowboy might have had trouble on the range, but he was a stud on the charts. The word "nuke" took on a whole new meaning. And who knew that Rocks and Pop could taste so good? Sweat Hogs ruled the airwaves, but Bruce owned the box office. Speaking of Jaws, you know the guy running second right now had the very same nickname? Let's see if Darrell Waltrip can hunt down Cale.
Cale is wound out and running away. Meanwhile, Waltrip passes Pearson to grab second. It's Yarborough, Waltrip, Petty has moved into third, and Pearson fourth. In turn one, Richard moves his Dodge number 43 around Waltrip's Chevy to regain second place. Now he'll try to close on Cale. On the 43rd lap, David Pearson screams into the pits with a flat right rear tire. The Wood brothers change rubber and fuel him in 14.9 seconds, one of the quickest stops of the day. David is followed into the service area by Buddy Baker in the Ford number 15, and Bud Moore and the crew are all over it. On the 69th lap, Richard Petty, who's been running second, began losing traction in the turns. He dives into the pits for new rubber. Another top contender, Darrell Waltrip, slides his Chevy into the pits for that same rubber and fuel treatment. Finally, on the 86th lap, the leader, Cale Yarborough, pits for new tires. Junior Johnson and the crew told him it was about time. The air was starting to show through. They have him out in 15.4 seconds. There goes an engine. That was car 25, driven by Jabe Thomas. He blew all the nuts and bolts out of that Chevy engine right down the front chute, locked up his brakes, and spun in the oil. They get Jabe's car off the track, and the pace car is out quickly to line him up for another restart.
Things seem to be heating up here at the Rock. Welcome back to the 1975 Carolina 500. The Rock sure is collecting a lot of cars behind the wall, and I'm still thinking this one's coming down to the wire.
The caution was out for 5 laps while they cleaned up the track. Many of the drivers took this opportunity to pit. For Petty, it was the start of his problems. Once again, the Dodge engine was overheating. This has been happening to Richard all year. And while he watches, the green flag is out, and this race is once again underway. Again, the Purolator Mercury, number 21, driven by David Pearson, is out in front. Cale Yarborough is second, Darrell Waltrip third. With the engine cooled off, the hood goes down, and Richard heads back on the track. But now he's 2 laps down, and it could be mighty tough to make it up. Pearson gets caught up behind some slower traffic, and Cale moves up in a hurry. On lap 236, Buddy Baker pitted his Ford for the last time. Bud Moore and the crew found a busted valve, and they parked the car in the garage area. On the track, Pearson and Yarborough are really having at it. Cale can run with David, but he's looking for a chance to run away from him. Pearson's Mercury gets a little bit loose in the 4th turn, and Cale fires under him to regain the lead. Look out, turn 2. The most serious accident of the day happened on lap 308. Almost simultaneously, Waltrip and Parsons got loose and slid sideways through the turn. Darrell Waltrip got hit by Lenny Pond, and Benny Parsons was T-boned by Dave Marcus. 4 cars out of the race, and Benny Parsons taken to the hospital unconscious. But he was all right and later on released. The yellow out brings the cars in, and this is the kind of action that makes NASCAR racing the greatest in America.
Yarborough, Pearson, and Petty. We're going to stick around and see how this one finishes up.
Are out, and so is the green. Cale Yarborough leads him into turn one, but Davy Pearson charges under him in the second pocket and comes out on the back chute with the front spot. Cale's Chevy 11 has never run better as he tucks it down low in the fourth turn and fires past Pearson to once again establish himself as the man to beat. 43, Richard Petty is running third, but he's also down 3 laps due to several pit stops with a hot engine. Pearson has been running very loose through the turns for the past few laps. He decides he needs some new rubber that'll grab and slides the big Merc into the pits. But while the Wood brothers are servicing the car, Cale flashes by and puts a lap up on David. Suddenly, another engine lets go. This time, it belongs under the front end of Rick Newsom's Ford number 20. The fourth caution light of the day is turned on while another car heads for the garage and the cleanup crews head for the track. Most of the field pitted under this yellow flag, and with the race grinding down to the finish, it's their last scheduled stop. From here out, it's a short dash to the wire. Cale leads them down for the green, Pearson is second and down 1 lap. Number 11, Cale Yarborough is the leader, but through the turn, Pearson passes him to put his number 21 Mercury in the same lap. Remember, he has to pass Cale again to take the lead. Petty in the Dodge number 43 is running strong now. He's holding down on the 3rd place spot. But due to all of his pit stops with the overheating engine, he's down 5 laps. Uh-oh, with only a short distance to go, Cale Yarborough pits the Chevy for right side rubber. We were told on his last stop that they put 2 tires on that were out of balance, and Cale couldn't run up to full speed. But David Pearson is fast closing that gap on Cale. Herb Knapp and the crew get him out in a hurry, but David Pearson explodes the big Mercury down the front chute and passes Cale before he gets out on the track. The lead now belongs to Pearson, and it's catch-up time for Yarborough. A few laps later, Cale is on top of David's rear bumper. Catching him is one thing, but passing him is yet another. Entering the 4th turn, Cale moves up on David, and this was the start of a side-by-side battle that lasted lap after lap and had the crowd screaming their lungs out. Neither driver asking for nor giving any quarter. No more pacing now. Both cars are flat out, and they're going to run them till they break. He does it. Somewhere in the 4th turn, Cale found 2 more horses and passes Pearson to regain the jackpot slot. And now he's really hauling. Cale can't seem to lose Pearson, but it doesn't look as though David has enough left in the Merc to get around him again. On the tri-oval, Cale screams his Chevy under the white flag. 1 more lap, and this one goes in the history books. Comes, and the checkered flag snaps down on Cale Yarborough, winner of the 10th annual Carolina 500. David Pearson finished the race with the 2nd place money. Richard Petty wound up 3rd, Dick Brooks 4th, and Richard Childress 5th. The 500 miles took 4 hours, 15 minutes, and 18 seconds to complete. There were 4 caution flags for a total of 34 laps. The average speed was 117.588 miles per hour. Yarborough led the race for a total of 261 laps, including the most important last lap. When Cale got to Victory Lane, he found a very happy crew, a check for over $14,000, and his own personal queen, Mrs. Betty Jo Yarborough. And it's a moment like this that'll bring a smile to the face of any clean-living Southern boy.
Another classic battle between Cale Yarborough and David Pearson. But it looks like Cale had just enough to win the 1975 Carolina 500. A great race at the Rock. I enjoyed this one. And I hope you're with us next time when we go back in the day. This is the last one, y'all. Y'all want to hold up? Wait on me. I'm getting thirsty too. All right, Bud, give us that line you give us every week.
So, till next week, drive carefully, won't you? All the pros do. And bye-bye.
Hey, ladies.